35,173 consumer fraud complaints filed with the agency last year. Credit card fraud was the most common form of reported identity theft, followed by phone or utilities fraud, bank fraud, and employment fraud. Identity theft affects approximately 10 million Americans every year. My research has shown that the majority of Americans are very concerned about identity theft, yet very few Americans know how to prevent it or have taken serious steps to avoid identity theft. How much of a wake-up call do you need before you begin to take action? To talk to and read about those who have had their identity stolen, it appears to be just as painful as if they had been bitten by a poisonous snake. If I were to tell you that there are poisonous snakes in your yard and in your workplace, what would you do? I trust you would find ways to eliminate the snakes and protect yourself. If you doubt that identity theft bites as severely as does a venomous snake, just talk to someone whose identity has been stolen. I did. As I interviewed victims or read accounts in the newspaper of identity theft, I saw and heard pain. Pain that is psychological, physical, emotional, and financial. Helplessness during the process. Confusion over what to do. Frustration and stress. Concern if this mess will ever be resolved. Anger toward the crook and the credit industry. Fear of what might happen in the future. And finally, outrage at Congress for allowing lobbyists to keep legislation from being passed that would help solve the problem for most Americans. As you can see from above, all you have to do is to name the emotion, and most victims of identity theft have experienced it. You put all these feelings together, and what you have is an explosive topic. I also learned that most victims of identity theft end up spending hundreds of hours and dollars trying to resolve the problem. Those who have had their identity stolen feel violated. One victim even went so far as to say, "I was raped in some way." Another called this theft of his identity the biggest hassle I've ever been a part of in my life. The emotion and pain go deeper than anyone could ever imagine and continue for months or years. Why? In some cases, identity theft is an ongoing crime compared to a single event such as your home being robbed or someone robbing you in the street. It's very hard for a victim to bring closure to identity theft. The scope of the problem and a recommended solution. How big is the problem? It's huge. The Secret Service and FBI recently infiltrated a website that was buying and selling credit card numbers and identity documents online. In one case, 28 people were arrested in 7 countries. They were buying and selling 2 million stolen credit card numbers on a website, and 4,000 people had purchased credit card numbers and other personal data on websites. This is just one incident. The selling of numbers and personal data has become a big international business, including ties to the mafia. The most surprising aspect of identity theft is that most identity theft problems could be avoided if Congress passed a simple law. Yet our legislators are unwilling to act. We do applaud some states, however, that are creating state laws that offer good solutions. More on how we can solve the problem on a national level later. Building a wall of protection. Identity theft was written to help you build a wall of protection around your personal and financial data. Protecting yourself is really a simple concept. The harder you make it for a crook to obtain your personal data, the lower your risk of having your identity stolen. It's not that difficult to build a wall of protection around your financial life. You just need to know what to be doing and what not to be doing. And there's no need to worry about the things you cannot control. This book is full of information, answers, and specific directives. The big questions. I will be answering the 4 big questions that everyone is asking about identity theft.